And welcome everyone to another episode of the FTW podcast. FTW's weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world and all of its laughable glory. This is episode number 214, recorded live on May 13th, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight we sit down with Midnight Society member Tony Hoffa to talk about his debut this month in Clash Wrestling, as well as the state of tag team wrestling in the industry. Plus, can Payback happen without Daniel Bryan? And what's the deal with MVP versus EY? Too soon? With us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Ahoy, ahoy, kids.
Kevin. Say hello, Kevin.
Kevin's muted.
Come on, Kevin. You're there.
Why did you mute me? Sup?
Because when we start the show and say everybody mute, you need to mute.
Oh, dear. Nick. Say hello, Nick.
How y'all doing tonight?
And straight from the Midnight Society, it's Tony Hoffa. Say hello, Tony.
Hello, people.
I don't mean to introduce you last. It's business. It's not personal. So just so you know.
Of course. Hey, I know that more than anybody.
My name is Garvin, and I'll be moderating tonight's conversation. For our full archive of episodes, as well as our full show notes for tonight's conversation, you can check out ftwpodcast.com. And we're going to start the show off with a little bit of bad news. I know I promoted on the Facebooks and the Twitter machine that Harrison would be making his mighty debut back, or his mighty return back, but well, that's Harrison, so he's not here. So, anyways,
Jobber.
Tony Hoffa from the Midnight Society.
Yes,
You just debuted at Clash Wrestling's Age of Allegiance, and you soundly defeated your opponents. Just talk to us first of all about that debut.
Oh man, the debut was classic. It felt good. We've been trying to get into Clash, for a while. I've always believed that Clash was one of the best in Michigan. They have excellent talent there. People like Jay Miller and GQ Assassin, Justin Maine, just talented guys, and so we want to step into their world and prove that we can hang with them, and I think we did that. I think we really showed we can.
Well, you definitely show that you have one of the best spine busters in the business. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So talk to us just about the group itself.
Well,
Midnight Society. How'd you guys get together, and what's your overall goal?
Well, the group itself is just based off, I want you to kind of envision, like the good old 60s and 50s, the Mafia back in that time, how they carried themselves, and kind of take that mentality and that mindset into the new world to how society is now. Pretty much the gimmick is pretty much we live in that society. That's why we call it the Midnight Society. And the nighttime is where everything was done. All the real business were done at night to help build this country. The big goal for us, of course, is to be one of the best, or the best tag team to ever be a part of wrestling, the best group to ever be a part of wrestling. Like I said, we've got a talented guy like Maserati Rick. You've seen him work, Jeff. Joe. He's a real good guy, real talented guy. Then you got Dynamite Evan Craig, young, hungry guy. Man, he's probably the smartest one between all three of us, and he's the youngest. He's a very student of the game, and he can talk. I know, like you said, you guys saw the match. He held the crowd real good. And I think we have something there. The reason we came together was just friends want to do something together. See how far we can take this.
So is Evan Craig going to be getting into the ring, or is he going to be more of a managerial role?
Well, Evan Craig will be getting in the ring for sure. It's just be a matter of time. He works for Apex Wrestling out in Saginaw. As a matter of fact, he just did a show. I want to say Mother's Day. He did a show out there. But even with the whole thing, he's going to be in the ring. Like the way the group is, it's not like a tag team manager group. It's kind of like, I guess, a faction, just like the Shield or Evolution or however you want to put it, like that. where everybody will be wrestling. But there will be certain times where, let's say, him and Craig and Rick are in a tag match. I'm on the outside, you know. Or
So you're going to do it Freebird style.
Absolutely, it's the best way to put it.
Cool.
All right, so let's quickly talk about. I mean, you guys are a tag team, so you are still trying to push tag team wrestling in general, and you know if it as everyone who listens to the show knows, we constantly talk about tag team wrestling where you know it just doesn't seem to be where it was 10, 15 years ago, and I want to hear from you. And once again, Tony Hoffa, ClashWrestling.com. You can find out more information about him there as well. What's your thoughts about the where the industry is going with tag team wrestling? Why do you think it's, or actually, do you agree that it's kind of been on a downspin as of late?
I think for the longest it's been on a downspin, like for a long time. And I used to get so mad to go do independent shows and they won't have any tag matches. I used to make me so angry because you have all single matches. But I think now it's slowly building up now. It really is. It's slowly getting better, especially in WWE now. Like the tag division there it's clicking real good, you know. And then like in the indies you have certain tag teams that are out there, you know. Like in here in Michigan, you got a couple. Got the Painkillers, you know, who are a definitely good tag team. I was working with them. I worked with them out in Ohio. But I feel like the tag division it was stale for a minute, but I think overall in the wrestling world, it's coming up. It's just a process. That's all it is. It's just a slow building process.
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that we all want to see more of. It just seems like just the routine that we see is, whether it's TNA or WWE, they definitely center on one team. So you've got your champions, and then there's one contender, and it seems like it's always just those two teams getting the spotlight. Do you think there's room for a stronger division with more teams going after the titles at once, or do you think it has to remain like a spotlight just on two teams at a time?
No, I think they make it. How can I put it? I think they choose not to have room. You can make room for sure. I mean, it's just you have to be able to book it right. You know, it's kind of lame to have, like you said, the champions and then the contenders. Then the contenders get beaten, they fall down out of nowhere. This new tag team comes. You know, that's kind of stale and kind of pointless. You know, do it like you had it back in. Even with, I'm kind of very anti-attitude era. I will say that now. But look at that time, where you had multiple tag teams, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and they were building each other up. Instead of just, champion, he wins, bring in a new contender. It was always a tag team that was coming up. So.
Yeah, that was the good thing in the Attitude Era. I also liked, even before that, you had like Heart Foundation, Demolition, Legion of Doom, Killer Bees. You had all these various tag teams at one point. The Rockers, just all together. And you're right. You could build them. You could have teams building each other so that when the contender falls or the champion falls, there were like three other teams that could be in contendership. I mean, that was always the cool thing. That's why I fell in love with tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see the trend going away from the formula of tag team goes for a while, they don't win the championships, or they win the championships, then they lose them, then all of a sudden they break up?
No, that trend will never stop, especially in WWE. That's always going to happen, like always. It's always going to happen. I don't think it's... I won't be shocked if I look on TV and I see the Usos are split up like pretty soon. Just out of nowhere, It's so repetitive how they do it. It's always like that. It's like, can we keep a team together for a little bit, please, people?
Exactly.
But obviously, Midnight Society is going to stay around for a while.
Oh no, we're going nowhere. No, we're never going to split up, baby.
All right, so before we really get into the heart of today's conversation, obviously we're going to be talking about WWE, what's coming up there, TNA as well, lots of stuff to go over. But let's get a little bit more information on you to figure out where you're coming from, what your perspective is. So let's quickly, favorite match that you've ever seen.
Favorite match I've ever seen, like ever. I'm a big fan of Shawn and Flair, HBK and Flair. I'm a big fan of that. Pretty much anything HBK, like honestly, like anything HBK, anything Taker. I'm a big Diesel fan, so anything Diesel, honestly. Most recent favorite match, it would be hands down be the Shield and Wyatt at Chamber. You know that match. I watch that match every day if I can, every day, all day.
All right, the favorite match you've ever participated in.
Oh, favorite matches I ever participated in. I want to say one of them will have to come from when I was out in Beyond Wrestling. It was me, Maserati Rick, and KJ Crush. We went against the KOA, which was Aaron Epic, Sugar Dunkerton, and Pinky Sanchez. Like that match was so fun, especially being in the ring with Sugar Dunkerton and the way his style is, the comedy style and all of that. It was a pretty fun match. I also enjoyed a lot of matches with Bill Martell. Like he's like my nemesis. I've been in the ring with that guy probably 50 times. But every match seems to get better, and I just love being in the ring with him. True story. I only beat him twice out of 50 times. Always wins. So.
Sounds like bad booking.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the industry in general. Obviously, you guys just made your splash in Clash Wrestling, but there's also Global Force Wrestling is now on the scene. Haven't necessarily put an event together, but so much hype is behind what Jeff Jarrett is doing now with his new company. It seems like he's been traveling from IndieFed to IndieFed and internationally as well. So it's definitely gaining interest. So far, though, it's only been hype. So do you believe in what Jeff Jarrett is doing? Are you following it all? And do you think that he really has an opportunity to do something good for the industry?
I think he does. Just as long as he don't lose it like he lost TNA, you know. But no, I think he it's going to be a slow process for him. It's not going to be like an immediate thing, you know. It's going to be some work for him. But I think he'll have a good thing going. I really do. I enjoyed Jarrett when he was in control of TNA. I really did. I think he really brought a lot of eyes at the time, you know. And it was kind of sad to see him kind of this kind of leave was kind of sad, you know, to see him just torn right up under him. But I think Global Force, I'll say if it starts this year, give it 3-4 years, they'll be highly talked about. More than TNA for sure. Because TNA, I don't know what TNA, I don't know what, man, what they're doing anymore. So.
Yeah, TNA is definitely getting more and more bad press as we continue to move forward. We'll get to that. Right now, though, let's jump into some WWE conversation. The big news that came out this week, obviously, Daniel Bryan is out with neck surgery. We don't know exactly what that means. It seemed like WWE was playing it seriously, but also throughout the article made it seem like a storyline. So a lot of speculation, but it seems legit from everything that I can read, everything that we've talked about. It does seem like it's legit. So if he's out for what's estimated to be 6 to 8 weeks, do you guys think that they should strip him of the title, or do you think 6 to 8 weeks is okay without a title defense and just have him come back with the title? Let's start with Kevin.
I don't have a problem with keeping it on him. If it's gonna go too much longer than that, I think your hand is forced. But 6 to 8 weeks, I don't have a problem keeping it on him. You can work this angle with the Shield and Evolution as, you know, main event material. You have Cena and the Wyatts, so it's not like they're devoid of things that they can do right now. outside of the title. So you'll probably still keep him on TV after maybe like a 2 to 3 week recovery. Maybe he does some announcing with the guys on the table. There's ways you can keep him in front of the camera. So I don't think you drop it unless it's going to be more prolonged than that. I think he'll maintain the strap.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I don't think you need to take the belt away from him unless he's going to be out for quite some time and he won't be able to compete. So yeah, I foresee, hopefully I foresee that he'll at least be back on TV relatively soon after the surgery, whether it's storyline or whether it's actually legit. And because he's fought so long for the title, and to have him lose it relatively soon after Mania, that would be a real shame. So I hope he keeps it.
I mean, I'd agree with you, Nick, that it would be a real shame, but if it gets to the point where they need to use the title to advance some type of storyline, I'm like, right now, Evolution versus the Shield is going to be their top feud going into Payback at this point. And given that it was Daniel Bryan versus Kane, a lot of people weren't into that, despite that it actually has story history. But I can see, I mean, they've got that to fall back on to give Bryan some time. But I think after say 60 days, at a certain point, they're going to have to put the title on somebody else if he can't compete, and that's fine. He can always. Daniel Bryan is great chasing the title, so I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Plus, then you have a storyline right there. He can come back in, and he can go after him. Like, hey, I never lost the title, and there's a whole nother angle they could go with if they have to make him drop it. But yeah, keep it on for like 60 days. I could see that working.
I don't know. I think you would have to get rid of it, man. I think you would have to take it away from him. I mean, and even good point. He's good on the run, but it's just a matter of who they give it to, though. I mean, that would be like a big thing. Like, who would be that person? This is their main event title, so they're going to have to. You just can't have it on the shelf for 68 months, is it? They say
68 weeks.
Weeks.
Well, that ain't too bad, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they did it with The Rock, and he was healthy. So
yeah, and Punk also Punk also missed about 4 to 6 weeks. I know he missed a pay-per-view as champion, so it's I mean there is precedent for it. Despite what we would like, there is no real 30-day clause for title defenses. So I think 4 to 6 is cool. Anything longer might be hard to maintain.
Go ahead,
Tony.
No, I was going to say, I just think if they did it, if they got rid of it, they have to put it on somebody. Almost maybe Cena. I don't know. Almost maybe Cena to have that rematch again at like SummerSlam or something. Daniel Bryan and Cena, But I'm no booker, so I don't know. I don't see that told, so.
Yeah, and you look at the overall scope of things. I mean, who is next in line? Like who else would fit well into that puzzle? And honestly, I can't come up with anything. There's obviously guys that you would love to see, like a Dolph, like even a Damien Sandow, or push Wade Barrett up there, or some other guy that that we are behind as far as the podcast and the general community. But as far as who they've built to be at that level, I mean, there really isn't anyone outside of an Orton or a John Cena.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's like, if that's the case, you're trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole almost. Like you're trying to force it. I just don't think it would work.
Hey, what's JKG doing?
No.
What about Brock Lesnar?
Oh, no, that's a good point.
That's true.
What about Brock Lesnar? I mean, because again,
he did say he was going after the title after Taker.
Yeah. I mean, he has dropped off the radar only because he hasn't been on TV, but I would be totally fine with Brock Lesnar coming in and either being a part of a tournament, or I don't necessarily want to see another Royal Rumble type style, a Battle Royal type match, but like a little mini tournament or a four corners match to determine who holds the title. I think that'll be fine.
And just remember, Paul Heyman's client Brock Lesnar defeated the Streak.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Almost forgot about that, man.
Yeah, me too. How could I?
You know, and that does bring another interesting topic up because you know, another rumor that we had seen was talks about Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar. That being the feud, just because Heyman is constantly talking about Brock Lesnar instead of Cesaro when they're together. That's got to wear on him at some point, right? So Brock Lesnar versus Cesaro to come up, that would be an epic title match.
It'll be interesting. I don't know about that.
Maybe Cesaro carrying Lesnar, if that's what you mean by epic.
Literally carrying.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously that's all up in the air, and who knows? I mean, like it's being talked about in the live chat right now. It might still be a storyline. I'm waiting to see. I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket yet. You know, they've written off people before in other ways, like Big Show being hit by a car, only for him to come back 2 weeks later. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off. They didn't strip him of the title yet. Sure, they might want to wait until after SmackDown, or after Thursday rather. But yeah, so
let Rikishi drive the car. That way he can do it for The Rock.
No, don't skip to have his sons do it. Shoot, have the Usos. That'd be good.
Perfect.
Alpha and Steve do it.
All right, so another big topic that's been talked about all over the internet. I know, Joe, you want to talk about it. Is this whole Rusev and Hacksaw and Big E scenario. So go ahead, just lead us into this conversation. What have you been reading, and what do you think about it?
All right, so looking at it just as it was laid out, you know, we're going to get Big E versus Rusev because Big E helped defend Hacksaw from Rusev. And Big E's or Rusev's out there and he breaks the 2x4. And he is amazing. But the rumors have been that around SummerSlam, either at SummerSlam or right after SummerSlam, Cena wants to fight Big E. So if you've got Big E versus Rusev right now, I mean, yes, it is May. SummerSlam's not till August. So you've got some time, but really, do you think they would actually turn Big E within 2 months of a feud with Rusev? Because Rusev, at the end of the month, we'll be fighting Big E. You got Big E versus Rusev, most likely, because really we're just going to throw, okay, here's our formula, here's the match we're going to do for the next pay-per-view.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't know what they're going to do overall. What they're going to do with that whole thing? Would I love to see Big E and Cena go at it? Honestly, no. I really wouldn't. I honestly would not want to see that match. I just think it would be kind of not stale, but it would. I don't know. It wouldn't be impressive to me for some reason.
But there's also, they've given us no reason. I mean, right now we have no reason to see that match either.
Yeah.
It's not like there's, personal vendettas against each other or, even if it is just business, it's not going to come across well because it's Big E and Cena. Like, okay, Big E's kind of the comedy guy now with the Instagram account and that hilarious bit he did in the post show for Extreme Rules.
Tony, though, I got to say I'm with you. I'm just, I mean, my biggest concern is we haven't seen Big E as a heel, and obviously he's going to have to play that role if he's going to go up against Cena. I thought having him run up against Rusev was genius. I thought it was a great idea. It's the first time the crowd has popped for him in months, and they really went nuts when he was running down there. I think the only mistake they made was not allowing him to get at least one move in before Rusev crushed him. Let him have something in the ring to show that he can hold his own. Yeah, have Rusev crush him and then have some words afterwards, but I thought that was a mistake. Have him hit the clothesline and drop the shoulders and show his man boobs like he always does, that's fine. But I thought that was the only thing that was missing from that segment. It was the first time they popped for him in a while, and I thought it was great. You're talking about two powerhouse guys going up against each other, this wrecking machine, and Big E saying I can stop him. So I think this is great to get Big E back on the map. My only concern with having him fight Cena at SummerSlam, particularly that soon, is how is he going to play a heel? Maybe push that back to Survivor Series and run with that. That would be my call.
The catcher, Kevin.
Push it to Survivor Series. Run with this for a while, and then see how he can do as a heel.
We already know he can go as a heel because he was Ziggler's lackey.
He was the heel by association, though.
That counts as a heel.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, he was technically a heel, but he didn't really do anything except act on Ziggler or AJ's orders. He didn't really show himself as a heel like on his own initiative very often.
True.
As far as the Cena Big E rumors go, it would be kind of interesting to see if Cena could give him that rub, because Big E definitely does need some rebuilding after the slump he's been on TV. But yeah, that's not a terribly interesting matchup. They're both power dudes. They both have decent movesets, but they're both kind of limited, especially if they're not facing somebody with a wider range of movesets like a Punk or a Bryan. They kind of rely on the other guy to be that workhorse in order for them to show off what they can do. I think that just having two powerhouses, like you said, just having a hoss fight, just beating the crap out of each other, I think that's pretty interesting, especially since you throw in the aspect of Big E coming to Duggan's aid and having Lana be the mouthpiece, making it the whole Cold War America versus Russia thing. It's a lot more interesting, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, I'm also definitely interested in this feud. As far as the rumors go, Cena versus Langston, that's what I've read too. I like that idea. I think it's a good idea if we understand correctly that Cena and Langston are good with one another. As far as them being friends, we have seen a trend where Cena is putting guys over and making people look good, despite it not being booked exactly the way we would like. I think this could really help Langston to have that feud with Cena. I have a hard time wrapping my head around alignments anymore. I can't see. I have a hard time seeing heels and faces, and I know I'm not the only one because we keep saying, Dolph Ziggler was the heel in that, but he was getting the cheers. Everyone was cheering him during that entire thing. The same thing with Langston. When Langston was doing stuff with Dolph, he was getting cheers. So I don't think Big E has to turn heel as like a traditional heel turn to go against Cena. Punk didn't. Daniel Bryan didn't. No one else has. I think we could still see some good matches regardless of that. I think and Vince has gone on record saying that the whole heel versus face thing is no longer really viable or expected anymore. You're going to choose to back whoever you're going to choose to back, and that's always how it's been for the most part. But they're just not pushing it as much anymore. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I like that. I like Big E versus Rusev. I think they might be limited because of their size, but Rusev's got that awesome drop kick. So who knows? That'll probably be a show stealer. Speaking of good,
is more loud.
Yeah. Speaking of good matches, let's talk about some divas, man. Paige versus Alicia Fox. Was that not the best match of the week?
That's probably the best match I've seen out of Alicia Fox. And I don't know why, but for some reason I am an Alicia Fox fan. Out of the current crop of divas, she is one of the people who I think has potential. People can look at me like I'm an idiot, but hey, it's when she screwed up that axe kick and brought her leg around and dropped onto somebody's neck. I think she did that to Layla. Like, to me, I was like, you need to do that to everybody. Like, pop their heads off. Let's just. I don't care if it's a botch. I don't care if somebody was injured. That was impressive. But that's just the asshole in me. But no, that was a great match. I think they worked well, and the explosion after the match. Wow! Like now, I'm interested. Let's see what Alicia Fox is going to do next.
Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, very good match. It was very good, and Paige continues to really perform well. I thought Cena and the Usos versus the Wyatts was the best match of the night, personally. I realized it was a total spot fest, but man, that was fun to watch. But no, you can't take anything away from it. They were outstanding. They did a great job, and Paige is damn hot with this goth purple thing that she has going on. The pale goth girl. It's pretty hot. So I got to give her that one as well.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the better matches and segments going on. I think the match itself was pretty good, but I think the real point of that was psychology behind it, both for building Alicia Fox back up as a credible threat and reminding us that she is a veteran in the division and she is a pretty competent wrestler in her own right. And it reminds us too that Paige, despite the way she debuted and despite her successes, she is technically still a rookie as far as the WWE goes. And she should be struggling against a veteran like Fox. But I think the way she was beaten down at first and then she came back with that one finishing move, I think that's meant to establish the lethality of her moveset. Like, she's already displayed 3 different finishers, the Page Turner, the Rampage, and that modified Scorpion Crosslock. And it gives it that sort of that feeling of, like they've done with Orton for years and years with the RKO. He can hit that move out of nowhere. The Page Turner is kind of becoming the same kind of thing, where if she spots that one weakness or that one opening, she can hit it and win the match, put people away. So I think it was really well done on the WWE's part to book the match the way they did. And I'm really impressed by it. I definitely wouldn't say no to seeing Alicia Fox challenge for the belt at Payback.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, the women's division has been coming up real quick. It really has been getting a lot better. I'm not a fan of Paige, though. I'm really not. I don't know why. I'm not a big, even in NXT. I mean, she's good. Don't get me wrong, but I just never was really a fan of her. But like I say, I've never take away her talent. She's very talented. Alicia Fox. Well, I'm with Joe. Like, I've always been a fan of Alicia Fox, man. When that awesome match she had with Melina.
Validation.
That's the match she had with Melina that Cameron loves so much. But no, I didn't really. I saw bits and pieces of the match. I DVR'd it, but I never went back to really watch it. But I've heard good things about it, and from what I've heard, I'm excited to see too, like where they're gonna go for it and how they're gonna go with the Divas division. But there are a lot of talented girls there. There really are. I mean, Naomi is real good. She has a lot to learn still, but Naomi's good. Natalia, of course, I remember they came to Detroit and I watched Natalia and AJ have a phenomenal 15-minute match, man. It was like, holy crap, this is like real good. You learn from it. But I'm very interested to see what they're gonna do with Alicia Fox. Build her up, and maybe someday. I think she'll be credible. I think she's a credible champion. I think she'll be credible too. So.
Yeah, I think as far as Paige goes, I don't think we've really had the opportunity to see what she can really do since she's been brought up. The whole way she was brought up and basically handed the title, it's kind of left a lot of people wanting to know why. But she is a nice alternative. I mean, she is the anti-diva. That's what she's been going with since her days in NXT. So I think that's a nice change. But I don't think she's making as big of a splash on the WWE side that people were hoping for. I mean, even though this was a fantastic match, I think we all agree that we enjoyed this match. The crowd wasn't into it. at all. There was still what chance? There was still CM Punk chance. There was still all kinds of different things. So it's not getting the attention that it should have for sure. But I think that Alicia Fox can do some good things. I'm glad that they're all finally getting that opportunity to do it on Raw. And again, we have another Raw with 2 singles Divas matches. So I think that's 2 or 3 times in the last month, and that's great. It's good to see. So hopefully that means more to come. So let's move on real quick to Damien Sandow. He's getting everyone talking because of what he did not only on the Raw pre-show, but also right before his match this week on Raw. And that was basically, he seemed to go a little bit out of character. He didn't have the snobbish, holier-than-thou attitude, or he didn't carry the mic the same way. It was almost as if he was really speaking out as himself, not in this character, not as Magneto this week. So it's giving a lot of people questions as far as why was this real? Was this a work? Is this leading to something else? And there's been a lot of rumors about a whole group of guys that the quote unquote IWC has been painting as being disgruntled. So like a Damien Sandow should be getting better. Dolph Ziggler, Zack Ryder. I'm missing someone. Miz, yeah. Another guy that could fit into a disgruntled faction. So this could have been our first sign of it really happening. So first of all, are you okay with his character seemingly evolving, getting away from what we're used to whatever we're getting now? And if this is the first signs of that disgruntled faction, who do you want to see alongside him? Let's start with Kevin.
I would probably throw Ziggler in there. Not really that Ziggler's disgruntled, but they haven't. I think he could use to be in a faction like that. And if you want to use some of the things that may or may not have happened backstage, I think that could work out pretty well. I don't. I did find it interesting. Sandow in particular seems to be kind of a forgotten guy over the last couple of months. I mean, he was really rolling along. And then all of a sudden it just seems like they don't have anything for him. So I do find it interesting, and I do find the comments interesting, as well as the timing, because it's kind of the point where Sandow might have to be thinking, if this is not a work and this was legit, where he kind of has to be thinking, okay, I got to either force the hand or I'm screwed. We're kind of getting to that point. So the timing does seem to fit with it possibly being, something legit. I'll be interested to see where this goes. I mean, they've been doing a lot. I mean, obviously we have a lot of factions. Wyatt's, Shield, they brought back Evolution. If they go with another one, that's quite a few factions, but you have to do something to get all these guys TV time, so I'm not even saying it's a bad idea. The other ones have worked and are working. So, I'm for it until I'm for factions, and I'm for doing this until they prove that it's not going to work and until this gets stale. So I'm interested to see where this goes, and I am intrigued with what happened on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm intrigued too. I heard the rumors before about this whole faction thing, and when I heard it, I thought that'd be pretty interesting to see. Just because, like you said, all these guys that that you haven't seen on TV in a while, that the fans are actually wanting to see. You got to think of a way to get these guys on TV somehow. To keep them relevant to the fans' eyes and keep the fans happy. I agree that if they do it, it should be the original talks. I'll keep Miz out because I don't think he's really that relevant to the fans anymore. I actually forgot about the Miz until you actually said something about him, to be perfectly honest. But I think what they did, when he came out and did what he did, I think it was just along the lines of, here's your chance. Let's see what you do with this. I can see people in the back like, here's Damien, do this, and how, and we'll go from here. So, like you said, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen next exactly. Was it a shoot? Absolutely not. But I think it was something they just told him, like, here you go. Make this work. It's up to you. So, very interesting to see what happens.
I do like the idea of Sandow's character evolving because I mean things just have to change up, or you risk getting stagnant and getting reactions just because you're the same old, like Cena did. Um, as far as this faction of disgruntled workers goes, I'm not too sure I see that happening. Like it'd be good for a lot of guys like Ryder or Ziggler, but I just can't think of a whole lot of names that really mesh together in my mind. Like in the past couple of weeks, we've had Ziggler and Sandow going at it. Like when Hugh Jackman came to Raw, Ziggler was the good guy, Sandow was the bad guy, and Ziggler took Sandow out. Uh, to have them band together relatively soon after that just seems a little weird. Like, I know the WWE isn't too terribly concerned about continuity sometimes, but it would just strike me as odd. But to see Sandow team up with a guy like Ryder, like maybe Ryder has sour grapes about not being used right, and we've seen some of that in his most recent YouTube show, the Last Resort, I think it's called.
Yep.
You've seen a different side of Ryder, and that could make sense. But I can't really think of guys that, or too many other guys that would fit the bill of they haven't been used right, but they can get a reaction from the crowd. And Tony brought up a really good point about The Miz. Like, he kind of fits that bill about not being used right, but the crowd just doesn't care about him either way, so he doesn't really fit there.
See, I've got a whole list. I mean, you got Christian, Darren Young, Titus O'Neil, Kofi Kingston, Mark Henry, Big Show, Hunico, and then, like you said, Zack Ryder. You could take all these guys that they're not currently being used right now. They're right. Like Christian, there's definitely something you could do with him. Darren Young and Titus O'Neil, I mean, ever since they split them up, there's been no reason to have them. They've had nothing to do. Kofi Kingston's always getting shit on, and he's a good talent. If they would just give him the damn mic. They haven't given him the mic since he feuded with Randy Orton.
Well,
I
think there's
5 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, you could change his character a bit just to give him a darker side. Big Show's always getting screwed over in these stupid angles. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't fight yet another celebrity at WrestleMania. Mark Henry's always just fucking pissed off. And then Hunico's got to do double duty as Sin Cara. I mean, you've got guys who have grudges and could team up. If they can do it with 3MB, they can do it with anybody. I don't care if you're making another job squad.
I think you're blending the guys that we see as not being used right and the guys that are acting out the fact that they have been used right. I think you're blurring the line there a little too much for that to happen.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Like, it would absolutely be awesome to see Mark Henry and Titus O'Neil and Sandow and Ryder and whoever else just team up and tear shit up, but I just don't see that coalescing the way you're talking about. I think there has to be some kind of on-screen, in-storyline catalyst for that to happen, and I just don't think that's really happened to the degree that a faction could form.
Yeah. Valid point.
Yeah.
All right, hold on, guys. I'm having some technical difficulties on my side. give me one second.
I'm sorry, I dropped the mic a little too hard there.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, Nick. Didn't mean to interrupt your pipe bomb.
All right, I got to make a quick edit note. I messed up. All right, so yeah, I mean, my thing is, yeah, Joe, maybe you are blurring the line just a little bit as far as who is really disgruntled. But I mean, Nick, as far as sure, Dolph Ziggler and Damian Sandow were just kind of at odds. It wouldn't necessarily make sense. But again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if they have a common goal, it totally makes sense. They might not like each other. I mean, even look at TNA. Their recent the recent whole grouping of Main Event Mafia. You had Magnus and Samoa Joe get together, and they weren't necessarily best friends either, but they had a common goal, so it made sense. So I think there's totally room for storylines like that in wrestling.
Sure. I guess the question would be who or what would they be aligning against?
That I have no idea. Because I think if Daniel Bryan for sure is out, you could have another group go up against management, go up against Evolution to get that opportunity that they obviously don't have. But where does the Shield fit in? So I don't know. I have no idea what that goal would be, unless they're just running rum shot over the next 2-3 months, just going after U.S. championships, Intercontinental championships, whoever ends up taking the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Real quickly, Payback 2014 is next month, June 1st. Right now, we only have one official match, and that is Shield versus Evolution, the rematch. Before Monday, it was pretty obvious that we were going to have 3 rematches. So we still have Bray Wyatt and John Cena. That's most likely still going to happen. We were probably going to get Kane versus Daniel Bryan, but now that seems very, very unlikely. So, but other than that, it's kind of up in the air. There's no obvious challenger for the IC or the Divas Championship unless Alicia Fox gets another shot. There is no obvious contender for the Tag Team Championships because Ryback keeps losing. Jack Swagger versus Adam Rose. That's another one that probably will happen. And sadly, El Torito versus Hornswoggle. It looked obvious. That seemed like to be the match that they needed to open up the show with, but that seems to have dropped off the face of the earth for whatever reason. So hopefully that comes back. Real quick before we move on, real quick, just before we move on, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. This is going to be our 3rd pay-per-view in a row with that match. Just real quickly, are you guys cool with that? Tony, let's start with you. Are you cool with having that match repeated 3 pay-per-views in a row?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Because it's
Tony
more
muted?
about the story. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's more about the story than the matches itself. Like the story between the two is very, very interesting, very eye-catching. To listen to the promos and then how Cena reacts to the promos and to the kids and things of that nature. Like that to me.
Yeah, I'm hearing it now.
You hear me?
Garvin, you are really delayed.
Everybody there?
Yeah,
I'm
we hear
hearing
you.
you, Tony.
Yeah. Like I was saying, the storyline itself is more intriguing than the matches, and actually the storyline makes the matches. I'm excited to see how they end this, how they finish this whole thing off. It's like a movie, It's like, the trilogy of the movie. Like, how are you going to end this trilogy now? Like, what can you do to top the things you've done already?
Okay, let me ask you this question then. How do you see this trilogy ending?
Legit, I don't know. Like, I think if they have high hopes for Bray, I think this would be an excellent time to have Bray walk away on top. But at the same time, you do that, then you're putting Bray on the title picture. If Cena was able to be taken out by Bray in his last match, that would be interesting. Kind of do maybe like a Undertaker kind of like thing where he used to people just disappear or whatever. Do something like that. That'd be pretty interesting too. But I would love to see Bray walk away from it. I would love to see because I love the character. The Bray Wyatt character is just so intriguing to me. Like so intriguing to me. So.
Bray Wyatt seems to be the first character to come around who didn't see a championship as like his end goal.
Mm-hmm.
He's just doing his own thing. Is A, content in doing that, and B, it's interesting. It's more interesting than any of the title races, for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's and I think about it, he can main event. You think about it, him and Daniel Bryan had an awesome match. What was that? Was that Rumble? Was that Royal Rumble? I think it was.
Maybe, yeah.
That sounds right.
That
Yeah,
sounds about right.
that match was phenomenal. It was like, wow, I was actually shocked. How good it was. So Bray can, hang with the main event, if he has to. But it's just a matter would it be too early though? Would you want to throw him that bone this early? You know.
Oh wow, that was the wrong query. I went to confirm the Royal Rumble, this year's Royal Rumble, to see if the match was there, and I look at the main event that wasn't the Rumble, and it says Chris Benoit won by eliminating Big Show. And I'm like, oh wait, no, that's 2004, not 2014. Wow, that was weird. Bray Wyatt defeated Daniel Bryan, yeah, at Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Fucking Batista won by eliminating Roman Reigns. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm totally with you guys about the viability of Bray Wyatt versus Cena. The only weakness I see is the booking. If they continue to book the same way that they have, with Cena doing the usual Super Cena routine and overcoming all odds, I love the idea of Bray getting in Cena's head and breaking him down psychologically by stealing the C Nation, by bringing all the little children over to his side. And the way this last pay-per-views match, Extreme Rules match, ended with a kid named Little Johnny getting in Cena's head so badly that he can't escape the cage. I just love the poetry of Wyatt first picking a kid named Johnny to take down John Cena. I just love that so much. It seems like everything around this feud is just money. It's just the way the matches themselves happen is the one thing that would even remotely possibly have me not looking forward to a third pay-per-view match in a row. But if they can fix that, if they can have that match to where it just clicks with the rest of the psychology built up around it, I think it's definitely feud of the year material.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On that note, let's jump on over to some TNA. This week on TNA, we saw some major developments with the World Heavyweight Championship race. We finally found out who was going to face EY at Slammiversary, and guess what? It's MVP. So, first of all, what does this mean for EY's reign? Is it coming to an end? And are you okay with MVP taking advantage of his power, going against everything that he said was wrong with Dixie's reign, and booking himself in this scenario? Nick, what's your thoughts?
I'll preface it by saying that I see the logic behind the move, because there has been a little bit of build toward this. With MVP, well, he first took control from Dixie, and then he realized it was a lot tougher than he ever would have imagined. He's essentially a wrestler turned authority figure, and he may or may not have been qualified to make that transition. And as things start to spiral out of control, demands get put upon him and put upon him and put upon him, and he keeps resorting to getting physically involved in the ring to resolve these problems, as you would probably expect a wrestler to do. But these problems just keep cropping up, and he snaps and just makes the ultimate power grab. The logic there makes sense to me, but on the other hand, I am not really a big fan of the authority figure stepping in physically to just make the power grab all over the place. I think Vince and Stone Cold was an exception, and if done right, this might have been another one. But to me, an authority figure should be able to handle his affairs by just opening his mouth and things happen. Or if he manipulates people to arrive at a conclusion that he wants. I haven't really liked the way MVP's been getting involved in the ring to settle everything. Like, Kenny King challenging him to an exhibition match, that's one thing, but the way he keeps challenging people himself. I haven't really been that big a fan of it, and I'm not really sure what to think about this move with EY. It has potential to work out pretty well, and I'm perfectly willing to wait and see how things unfold in the next couple of weeks. But on the surface of it, I'm not really sure that I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting twist. I'm thinking. I mean, the question here is has MVP been part of Dixieland the entire time? Is that going to even have any relation? Does this have any relation to Dixie storylines at all? I mean, I think that we'll see a good match out of EY and MVP, but I think this would probably be the end of the EY reign. And that's a shame because the guy I want to see more of him. I like this fighting champion. I'm going to defend the title as much as possible. I like this gimmick. It works for him. After all the various things he's done in that company, it's a great character for EY, and EY is going to be able to pull it off. But with MVP, I don't know. It seems too soon for MVP to me to be turning like this, to be getting involved. I would have figured he would have had more matches like with EC3 or other guys to get him to the point where then he's maybe going to be in some type of contention for the title. It just seems very rushed to me.
TNA. Oh God. Everything they do is all jacked up. Everything they do is jacked up. I'm not even shocked that MVP is in that role, because that's what they do. They'll take, the so-called old fed guys that they'll sign and they'll bring them into TNA and try to push them at these main events and all that. And that's why I don't agree with it, because they're not trying to build no stars in TNA, in my opinion. They're really not. They're really not. They'll go on the right track and have somebody built up, but then they'll just pull a plug on them. They'll throw like your newly signed talent, like your Kennedy or MVP, just throw them there. Like, let's make him main event, Like, no, you had a good thing with Austin Aries and you ruined that. You had a good thing with Magnus and that got ruined. I think overall, I'm not shocked, and I don't agree with it at all because it's MVP. He wasn't a draw even in the Fed. In Japan that's completely different. People loved him over in Japan, but I think overall it's pointless to have him go for the belt, especially so soon. Like, not at all. I absolutely don't agree with it. Like, there's nothing I can do to agree with that.
Well, Tony, I think your last comment is exactly the way that I feel. I think you hit it on the head. Is a shot at the World Heavyweight title isn't given or just forced in. It's earned. And there's no way, shape, or form that he earned this. That's the biggest. I mean, that's bullshit. That's to just kind of, throw your weight around and say, oh, I'm in because I said so. I mean, it doesn't make sense from a storyline perspective. It doesn't make sense from a perspective of how you're supposed to get there. Just throwing yourself in and saying, "Oh, I'm fighting this guy because, because I can." I mean, it's a terrible decision. It's a huge misstep by TNA. With having Rude back in the picture, I thought was a good idea, and they just threw that out the window, and this is a bad idea. And now, how's the locker room? What sort of? I mean, he's not going to have any respect back there. This is just this to me is a huge mistake by MVP and TNA to Dixie to sanction this, whatever happened. This is just not a smart move.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely just a matter of time before MVP got involved. You had to assume MVP was going to be involved in the top title picture, but it does seem it does seem very fast. This is way ahead of schedule than anything that I was thinking along the lines of. I mean, because we have guys like Rude and we have conversations between EY and Rude that really got us involved in their feud and their story, and we wanted to see more of that. And then there's also the idea of an Austin Aries getting brought in. So there's so much. There is a lot of great talent in TNA, but for some reason, this is the direction they go, and it does seem off. And again, our mantra here is to always try and find a positive with what we're watching, but I can't. I can't really find a positive in MVP taking this role.
Now, you did mention that this sort of move was inevitable, and given MVP's behavior on screen, at least prior to this, it seemed like he's come off as a guy that is perfectly willing to build other guys up, like with his exhibition match with Kenny King. Do you think they went this way just to kind of get that inevitable power grab for the title out of the way? Like, just make it a 1-month program and then just move on from there?
You could definitely see that, but with all of that power, are you going to stop at your first failure? I mean, if MVP has the power to book any match, obviously he can book himself into a title match. Why would he stop after the first failure? He would continue to put EY into a position where EY's got to dig himself out of a hole, basically. So yeah, no, I don't. I mean, if MVP loses, which is a great possibility, I don't think this is the end of it. I think this continues through Slammiversary. This continues, into the summer and into the fall. I'd imagine, but it's just a shame. I mean, because where is Aries? Why is Kenny King not on TV anymore? Like, why? Where are the guys that we want to see?
That's TNA for you, like I said. They take away the people you want to see.
Well, this kind of transitions into like the next point we've got here, as far as MVP like suspending Bobby Roode for what he did, and it raises there was a release on TNA's website about them getting in touch with Roode about it, and he did the expected line is it's abuse of power, it's a load of bullshit, it should be him in that position, and MVP hasn't earned anything, whereas Roode has put in all the work.
Right.
I could definitely see it. It's debatable whether they would go with this, and it kind of runs counter to my desire for Roode to reunite with Storm and reform Beer Money. But we kind of saw it when Dixie screwed him over. We sort of saw a face turn out of Roode. I think the possibility exists that Roode would be kind of the wild card that throws MVP off the trail for gold. If, like, there's a suggestion going around that Roode would be the one to interfere with MVP and help EY retain. I mean, do you guys think that could possibly divert MVP's attention and he would go after Roode instead?
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, and it would be cool, but again, I guess what I'm starting to realize and agree with the general negativity of the internet is that TNA can be really repetitive with like all of their stories. It's always the champion or the guy that everyone likes versus management instead of or some kind of bigger than anything faction like Aces and Eights or whatever. And I think they need to stray away from that. I don't think that's what they're doing here. They're just continuing status quo almost with the same style of story where it's EY or a TNA original versus the new guys. And how many times do we need to see that type of story in TNA?
Yeah, it's definitely true that TNA does go back to the well a lot. I guess the only defense to that is that not all the time, but recently it's worked out fairly well. like with AJ Styles against Dixie, he recaptured the heavyweight championship from Bully Ray, and it was the first time in a long time we'd seen a TNA original with the belt ever since Rude dropped it, and that was a high note, I think. And the same thing happened with EY. Like, we all thought that was a good thing. Like, the guy's been in there for 10 years, and he finally got something he deserved. He became the 4th ever Grand Slam champion. So, yeah, that would be the only thing. The saving grace there is that TNA, they do go back to the well, but, and this isn't just me, but I think they manage to pull it off at least most of the time. In that respect, at least.
All right, well, speaking of guy we like versus management, we also have Bully Ray versus Dixie. So where do you see this story going? Do you think we'll actually see Dixie Carter go through a table, or how does this end in your mind, Nick?
That I'm not sure about. I would have expected Rude and Bully to continue, with Rude being Dixie's frontman, but with MVP acting out against him, that makes me think it pulls Rude in another direction. And the other possible guy that I think Dixie would fall back on would be EC3, and I would enjoy a Bully EC3 feud, but he's tied up with Kurt Angle right now, and I just don't know where that's going to go, or who Dixie's going to get to be the roadblock against Bully. It's really hard to say with the way that the MVP deal just blew up, like right at the end of this week's Impact. It's just really hard to say.
I mean, you could always get maybe she gets MVP to take out Bully Ray. You know, I mean, it's TNA here, so God only knows. I mean, if they're gonna do the guy versus management storyline 2 times concurrently, I don't know.
I mean, it would be interesting to see
somebody try and take down Bully Ray and his fire-breathing Twitter machine. I don't know who you get. I mean, do you build up Nux? Take the time to build up Nux and then have him and the Menagerie go after him?
I don't know. They're kind of casting the Menagerie as a face.
Yeah.
Face stable, and I really don't know if they would.
But that's only 1 week.
Yeah, and it was against Kaz too when he was on his way out. So
the pay-per-view is this weekend, isn't it?
No.
It's the beginning of June, I believe. I want to say June 6th.
June 6th.
Are we talking about Slammiversary? That's June 15th.
15th.
Yeah.
I mean, they have time. Like you said, they would have to build somebody to kind of step in the way. Would I love to see Dixie Carter go through a table like Mae Young? Oh, I would love to see that. I would love it. But theoretically, they would have to have somebody step up and kind of run interference for her. And it's just, but that's the thing. Like, who would you do? Like, who would be that person you could put? I can see it. I can see it being MVP. Honestly, I can. I can see it. I can even see something with Abyss. It's a swerve or something, and it's Abyss. But yeah, they have to have somebody run interference. Though. It's just a matter of who.
Would Austin Aries be a believable guy for that? Do you think he would take Dickie's money and defend her?
Hope not.
I think Kenny King might.
Yeah.
I just throw out Aries because he and Bully always manage to bring the house down. They have an established feud, so
it'd be a good match, but that's not where I want to see Austin Aries personally, at least, So, okay, I feel like we've been super negative on TNA, and it's not gonna stop. So let's go to the next topic. Kaz is gone. Hernandez is gone. So now I know we last week we talked about on FTW 213 we talked about the influx of new talent that has come in, and why that's a really good thing. But along with the new talent, you've got to expect someone else to be released. So let's do a quick picks right here. Just throw out a name of who you think is going to be the next, or who should be the next released by TNA. We're going to start with Kevin.
Hell, I don't know. Probably wanted somebody from the X division.
Tony, what do you think?
I don't know. I agree with Nick. It's probably gonna be somebody from the X division. It's gonna be a tearjerker though. It's gonna be a tearjerker, but I'm not sure who. They always get rid of the good people. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem with TNA is. I would love to see the TNA meeting to see how they come up with this stuff.
Joe, who do you think is going to be next released?
I mean, if you just examine the roster page itself, there are a lot of possibilities, like Rampage, Manic, King Mo. But if I'm going to pick somebody, in all seriousness, I think they're going to get rid of Zima Ion. Which is a bummer, because I do like watching him work. Despite the apparent accident with Jesse Sorensen. That being said,
water under the bridge.
I think DJ Z is going to go.
Nick?
It's a tough question because there's not really much in the way of deadweight left on the roster. Either that we would consider deadweight or that TNA would consider deadweight.
Dixie's going to go.
If I had to pick somebody, I would just cancel the agreement with Bellator and get rid of King Mo, because that's not going anywhere. Rampage, maybe you could make something out of that because he did do pretty well in his role with Main Event Mafia, but King Mo hasn't done anything. I mean, that training period down in OVW didn't go anywhere, and everything got sidetracked when he got injured. Or I think he got injured. It was when he lost that big fight, and he was out for a while.
Yeah.
So if I had to get rid of anybody, I would cut King Mo from the roster.
Yeah, there definitely is deadweight in talent that's not being used, such as those guys, for sure. We also asked this question on Twitter and Facebook. We did get names like Dixie Carter. We got names like Rob Terry, even though Rob Terry just came back. Kurt Angle is a guy who I think will be the next gone, specifically because if this injury is legit, that's going to take him to the end of his contract. If those contracts that we hear of are accurate, he's gone, because that's going to take him out for 3 to 4 months, which will lead us to right around September. September is when he's gone. So, yeah, I think Angle's the next one to go. I would love for Jeff Hardy to leave as well. I think getting rid of the two big guys will put TNA in a position where they really need to make stars. Just like you said, Tony, they have an issue making stars, and a lot of it is because they don't give them consistent TV time. We don't see these people every week, so it's hard to really get behind them because we don't know when they're actually going to be on our TV. So, all right, real quick before we move on to askFTW, first note, Tony, Judas Coltrane is calling you out in the live chat for bringing the negativity. Just wanted to tell you, this is your fault.
It's TNA. TNA's all negative. You can't be talking about TNA.
Slammiversary is coming on June 14th. Right now we have EY versus MVP. That's the only match that we know is official. It also kind of looks like Abyss versus Magnus, Storm versus Anderson. Although we could maybe also see Beer Money and Gunner versus Anderson, or I'm sorry, Beer Money versus Gunner and Anderson if Bobby Roode is brought back, but doubt it now. X Division is kind of up in the air. Knockout's kind of up in the air. Maybe Wolves versus Bromans again, just because there's really no one else in the tag team division. Angle's gone. Otherwise, that would have been Angle versus EC3. So who knows? But there's plenty of time. Like we've got exactly a month, just about to build up the next show. So we will see. But let's jump into askFTW. And real quick, anyone in the live chat, if you got questions, we definitely have some room tonight. So post them in the live chat, and we'll get to them. Just hashtag them askFTW, and I'll see them. You can send us your askFTW questions through Twitter using the hashtag askFTW. You can also post it on our Facebook wall or Facebook group, Google+, or there's also a way to email us on the show. You can also post it on our YouTube channel. We read all of those things. Wherever we are, we read. So definitely send your questions in. This one comes in from Leonard Taylor on Facebook, and he said he was in a wrestling argument. He's looking for the winner of the Best of 5 Fantasy Warfare style series. Who would win? Both in their prime, the Dudley Boys or LOD?
LOD. Both of their prime, LOD would destroy the Dudley Boys.
I agree with Tony. I would side with LOD. This is not to take anything away from the Dudley Boys, but I don't know. You talk about the greatest tag team of all time. They're not the greatest. They're top 3. I would take the Legion of Doom.
I don't know. I'm going to say Dudley Boys are the most decorated tag team for a reason, and nobody kicks out of the 3D except the Motor City Machine Guns. So I'm going to roll with Dudleys just for the sake of this argument.
Joe, when you're coming to a point, don't mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, apparently I've done that. You know, it's been a while. I guess because Harrison was almost on the show tonight. He, had stuff going on, so he didn't. But because of that, is apparently why I have the mute issues. Taking out of the fact that Harrison thinks the best tag team since the '80s is Team Hell No, and they're not even in this poll. LODs. I mean, they were the precursor to the Dudley Boys, so you have to give them some credit. I mean, they were the first ones to win all the titles, and the Dudley Boys came along, and they were like the next generation that did it. That being said, I think the Dudley Boys are going to eke out the win, only in the fact that they did, at least from my viewing, they did a lot more hardcore match. They did a lot more at the tables. I mean, they did those all the time. I think they went through a lot more than what the Legion of Doom did. So that's the reason I'm going to give them the nod. I think they had a little rougher path getting the similar accolades.
Yeah, Nick, you say that Dudley Boys are the most decorated. I think it's just because of the era they were in. There was less companies for sure back when the Road Warriors or Legion of Doom were together. So I think that's definitely part of it. So don't count that out. But I don't know. I think this would be a really fantastic series of matches if we really could get it. I think their styles would match really well. But
so who's your pick?
Shut up! Stop rushing me. I'm gonna go with the Legion of Doom. They would be my pick. Muhammad on Facebook asked, do you think extreme moments like flaming tables or barbed wire can increase the excitement of a match, more particularly in an Extreme Rules or hardcore match, and why? And he gave the example of Daniel Bryan versus Kane at Extreme Rules with the flaming table. So, Joe, let's start with you. Since you have a thing for hardcore matches, do you think that adds something to the match still?
I think it does. I think with a lot of shows have taken a step away from the extreme moments. after a while, after ECW and for a while at the Attitude Era, just we had that era where like every other match, like somebody went through a table or somebody, everybody was a bit more hardcore. Now they're stepping away from that, so that when they do bring that stuff in, I do think it does help accentuate something in the match. Now, looking at that match, the Extreme Rules match between Daniel Bryan and Kane, I almost felt like the flaming table at that point was almost fit in last minute. Like, crap, we need to do something a little more hardcore. Well, we'll light a table on fire because Kane, fire with the fire. It didn't seem like it was planned or that we had any fear of a flaming table beforehand. Like, there was no build up to it. It was just kind of like there. At that point, I don't think it really accentuates it. But if there was something to draw us into that, I think it could have been better. Like maybe there was a table. They had a table. They kept trying to put them through, and then, or maybe there was a table that went up and nobody ended up going through it, and it ends up going out. Something like that. Then there was another one. I don't know. That particular match seemed weak to me. Like they just threw it in as a last-minute thing, and it really had nothing to do with the storyline. When you have something that helps improve the storyline, yes, I think it works great. I'll shut up now.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Tom,
I mean,
or Kevin,
I'm also a huge fan of the hardcore stuff, particularly back, when I was younger and, late teens, early 20s, going to the local show and a barbed wire match and, watching ECW and the flaming tables and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, I think it can add more to the match depending on what it is, but it's like for me that ship has sailed. Like I don't care as much about it anymore. It's probably because I'm old and I'm an old wrestling fart at this point, my mid-30s. But I mean, back in the day, I loved that stuff. I mean, to this day, going to Hardcore 98 or Hardcore Heatwave 98, excuse me, ECW Heatwave 98 in Dayton at Hare Arena is still the greatest thing I've seen live in wrestling. I mean, it was unbelievable, and ECW just absolutely brought it. I mean, that place was jacked. We knew what we were going to get, and they absolutely delivered. So, I mean, I really can. I mean, that's a perfect example of when it does. So, I guess it depends on your perception and what you think of that stuff. I don't care as much anymore. Back then, I used to love it.
I do think that moments like that can make for a bigger pop and increase the overall excitement around the match, or at least temporarily for that instance. But I feel like the logical progression for Muhammad's question is doesn't make the match better, and I don't. I do think that, like with the Kane Daniel Bryan match, the flaming cable spot, I think that made for a neat finish. Just the flow of it, with Kane going through the table and he rolls back into the ring right into the flying knee from Bryan to end the match. I think the sequence there was pretty neat, but yeah, it definitely felt very last minute and not well prepared for. And just in general, I don't think that those spots like those make for automatically a better match. They're nice little icing on the cake if used properly, but people don't come for the icing; they come for the cake. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Same thing. I think it's those spots. They have their place. Those moments have their place. You can go out there and have a first blood match, not use any weapons in a match to get over. How I know? Because I've done it. I remember one match, me and Bill Martell, one of the matches he beat me in, of course. It was the first blood match we had, and we went out there, and we just worked. No weapons were used, anything like that, and it got over. And we were in front of the Mayhem crowd, the Mayhem tour crowd. So these are just, your rockers who want to see hardcore stuff, and all that. We went out there and had a punch kick match, old school style. And at the end, they were mad. They were all into the finish, But that goes on, does that stuff add to a match? Did you have it? Of course, it adds to it. But do you need it? That'd be the key thing. Like certain matches don't need it. I've seen matches where they'll just use stuff to use stuff, and that goes on, and even in the independent scenes, with certain people who are watching death matches or do the hardcore stuff, and they won't build to this chair shot. It'll just be a chair shot for no reason. If you build towards it, then that chair shot can make the crowd go crazy, and you won't need another 20 chair shots in your match. Just that one would be good, So it's just a matter of how it's built too. That's just my take on it. I'm no expert on hardcore wrestling, but this is my take on using common sense.
Yeah, and we're getting some comments in the live chat. Robert Carmichael, who you guys have read in the Facebook group if you're a part of that, or he's also in the live chat all the time. But he's always talking about how hardcore matches need something more violent. That's what he's saying today. Hardcore matches need something violent to really tell that story that it is a hardcore match and that it is something that could shorten the career of a guy. That's the risk of this style match. So and he also points go back to the Attitude Era, go back to Edge versus Foley at WrestleMania 22. But the thing that I don't think we're talking about, just like how in indie, you like in an indie match, you can throw as much hardcore activity as possible into a match. That's not going to sell the match if you don't have good commentary. If you don't have a good feud building up to that type of moment, that's not going to make the match better. That's not going to make the match a better entertaining match, or something that you'll remember forever type of thing. The reason why the Attitude Era was the Attitude Era by far was Jim Ross. He sold every match as so important and every hit of the chair as so physical, and that's what you need. You need a combination of both. It can't just be violent stuff. That's not going to make the match. It's a combination of everything. So just throwing it out there. All right, and here's another Ask FTW. This is from Diva Jill in the live chat. She asks, "Where the hell has AJ been?" So let me throw it out this way. We know AJ took some time off. AJ Lee, that is. She took some time off because what we can gather, she's engaged now to CM Punk. CM Punk has early retired, I guess is the word on the street. So is it possible that AJ Lee is also done? Is this the last time we'll see AJ? Because what really does she have to prove? What else can she accomplish now? So, Joe, do you think she's gone for good, or you think we'll see her once again?
I think I'm getting the impression she's gone for good. But I also think that CM Punk's nudging because he's pissed off at the company. I mean, if she's done, hey, more power to her. If she's accomplished everything she wants to accomplish, good. Get out when while you still got your health, because we know that this can be a rough business. That being said, I think there's a lot more she could do. I think her time so far has been too short. I want to see her do more, so I'm kind of bummed that if she's going, I'm bummed that she's going. I get it with her fiance's anger toward, or the rumored anger toward the WWE, how he doesn't like the way it's going. But yeah, I think she's done. I think she's done, and her and Punk are going to at least ride the money coattails that they've got saved until they need more money, and then I don't know what they're doing.
Tony, your thoughts on AJ Lee's future? Kevin, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah,
Hello? You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Tony,
we
you
heard you.
back?
Okay, apparently we're having Google Hangout issues.
Are we having delays again?
Yeah, I think so.
I guess Garvin, you were right on time for me, but apparently you weren't for Tony.
All right, Tony, you hear me now? No?
We were a professional show.
Fuck this internet thing, man. Damn.
Yep.
Who's
but I think,
Googling the internets?
I think I don't know. I get the feeling she's not done. I have no basis behind this, no factual information. Just call it a hunch. I just feel like she'd want to come back and prove herself against particularly better wrestling competition if possible. If this is what's happening, if Paige and like you said, Alicia Fox are sticking around, and I don't know. I just call it a feeling and a hunch that she's not done and that she will come back at some point.
Well, take this for what you will, but the reports that I've been seeing is that AJ is booked for the European tour. So that of course could change, but I highly doubt that she's actually gone. Yeah, she's already accomplished a lot in the time that she's been in the Divas division, but I really don't think that she's done, even just beyond whatever booking she's got over in Europe.
All right, Tony, we still on delay, or what's your thoughts on AJ? Okay. All right,
There he is.
there we go. Tony, your thoughts on AJ Lee's future? Is she back in WWE, or do you think she's retiring?
No, she'll be back. She'll be back. She's young, you can kind of tell, that she really, really loves the business a lot. She'll be back, just like CM Punk will be back eventually. I think CM Punk maybe give him a couple of years to kind of chill out, relax. If he'll miss it again, he'll come back. But as for her, she's not going nowhere. Like not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I look at her career. Obviously, she was the longest reigning Divas champion of all time, and I do say that as far as how I pose the question, what else does she have to accomplish? I guess that is a little skewed. I mean, like it's being talked about in live chat, Scott, who you can reach at Scott Viper on Twitter. He pointed out like she's definitely not at the status of Alita or Trish. So she's got a lot of room to continue to grow and continue to do better. But again, she's been champion. She was champion for a while. She's made her money. Punk is on the sideline. That might be more attractive to her at this time. There's less traveling, obviously, and they can kind of hide away. That might be nice. So
I'll say this: even if she doesn't, even if for whatever reason she doesn't go back to WWE, she'll be on the circuit somehow. She'll still, take bookings, I believe, for the most part.
she's going to join the force.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be a good thing to see too. You're going with Jeff Jarrett, baby.
All right, let's move on to win fail. Nick, your win of the week.
I think my win is from TNA this week. The tag team match between the Bromans and the Wolves. They just blew the doors down, and that ladder spot where Davey Richards double stomped. I think it was Robbie E. That was just an awesome spot, and I mean, my God, Zema Ion just keeps taking bigger and bigger bumps. That back body drop off the top of the ladder to the outside, that was ridiculous. So, big props to them.
Kevin, your win of the week.
My win of the week is Kane dragging Daniel Bryan out and just dropping him. It's the first time I've actually thought they've gotten something right in this angle, and I actually thought it was really, really good. The only thing I think was missing, I think Kane should have just grabbed the mic and been like, Daniel can't come to the ring, Steph, and just dropped the mic and walked away. I think that would have been straight badass. Like when he's walking away, like the fire shoots up. But I don't even care. Just the silence of him just staring down and staring at Steph and walking away really was pretty awesome. It's the first time I think they've gotten anything right between the two of them, and it was the simplest thing, just dragging it out there and leaving. I thought it was cool. I liked it, and that's my win for this week.
Tony, your win of the week.
Well, my win of the week will be very shocking for you guys. My win is actually the Divas. You know, Alicia and Paige. You know,
Paige.
to draw that attention that they drew. You know, that's a big win for the women's division. You know, like I said before, I have a soft spot in my heart for the women of wrestling. You know, they work just as hard as we do, but they don't get a lot of credit as we do as well. And even with WWE, the mainstream stuff, it's a lot harder for them. But to go out there and have the match they had, and to be able to get that attention, that talk about, you know, that's pretty good. You know, that means you're going in the right direction. It's a big thing. So that's my win right there.
Joe, your win of the week?
My win of the week is actually going to go to Alicia Fox and Damian Sandow for their rants and like Alicia's just destruction of the ringside after her loss to Paige. Like and Damian Sandow going on the pre-show and then grabbing a mic and jumping in right before his match and trying to vent some stuff. Those moments intrigued me. Those moments made me excited for what they're going to do next. I need more of that. You know, we get that from the Wyatts because they've got that entire creepy factor. But these guys are generating on their own, and I like that.
All right, wins from the live chat. We've got Shield versus Evolution 2 at Payback. The TNA ladder match. Sandow totally gets a win from the live chat. Divas on Raw. Shield and the Wyatts. I guess my win of the week goes to I'm have to duplicate what you guys have said. The Divas. I thought Paige and Alicia Fox did really well. It really has me intrigued in what's coming up, for sure. So, into our fails. Nick, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week, I want to say it's Batista, but I guess the bigger fail is creative when it comes to Batista. Just why do you keep giving him a mic? I think he said 5 words in his address to Roman Reigns besides "I've had enough," and he just kept saying it over and over and over again. I've had enough. I've had enough. I've had enough. We're doing this. It's just unless he's actually going to develop his mic skills, just let Orton and Triple H handle all the talking. Kind of like the Shield does with Roman Reigns. I mean, he's not quite as bad off as Batista is, but Roman's strengths aren't his mic skills. Not yet. He's the big brooding menace of the team, and that should be Batista's role for Evolution. So I got to give him props for being willing to lose to Daniel Bryan even once at Mania and for his role in putting the Shield over, but damn, just don't let the man talk.
Kevin, fail of the week.
My fail of the week is the Fandango Layla makeout session in the middle of the ring. Please, no, never again. I mean, they look like they're about to inhale each other for a good 30 to 45 seconds that I will never get back of my life. Please, WWE, never again. Stop while you're ahead. No good.
Thanks, JBL.
Hey, just because JBL was right for like the only time ever.
Tony, your fail of the week.
My fail of the week goes to just everything TNA, like everything. Just TNA, get your stuff together, man. Get your shit together, TNA. Like, get better, do better marketing, do better, take care of your younger talent. Quit trying to have the older talent be your top stars, build stars. You know, like just do something good with your life, TNA. Like, just do something good. I mean, you have the potential. They really do. And I think that's what makes me more mad with TNA. They have so much potential. They really, really do. They have a lot of potential, but they just seem to always, they'll have that ball in their head. They'll have it, and they'll run, but they just drop it for no reason. Just look at it like, oh, shit, you dropped the ball. Fuck it, let's move on to something else, right? But that's my feeling. Everything about TNA. Get your shit together, man.
Yeah. Every once in a while, TNA reminds me of every single wide receiver the Browns draft. From the live chat, got Scott is agreeing with Kevin that the whole Fandango thing was dumb. Batista's quote-unquote beard. Yeah. TNA in general, I think, is getting a lot of hate. For me, though, I'm going to go in a direction I've never gone before, and that is my fail of the week is Ryback. Specifically because he shaved his beard, man. It was so awkward this week. Just me? Just me?
The lack of presence on his upper lip did look a little weird. It wasn't totally clean shaven, but yeah, it did look a little odd.
Yeah. Don't do that. All right. Let's go into final thoughts before we close out. So we'll start with you. Oh, yeah, Joe, what's your fail of the week?
Fucking A. I'm like waiting.
I'm used to you going first. This is weird for me.
My fail of the week actually is me. Over the last few weeks, I've had dreams that my local Target had a beach in front of it. Like a nice little coastline. And the guy running the surf shack apparently is my new friend. Ow, I tore my quad, Kevin Nash. And apparently there's some weird lost-sized conspiracy going on, and I'm apparently helping Big Sexy just, like, figure out the problem. So the fact that Kevin Nash and I are friends in my dreams is creepy as fuck, and that's my fail of the week.
Well, it's better than an actual surf shop owner in Hulk Hogan.
Good point, Nick. Thank you. Thank you. I don't feel like I need to commit suicide now.
It can always get worse.
Yeah.
Ow, my quad!
All right, let's go into final thoughts before we close out. Tony Hoffa, Midnight Society, talk to us about what you got coming up.
What we got coming up, you guys can check ClashProWrestling.com. Check that out. Also, there's a show coming up. There's a Relay for Life show at Heritage Park in Taylor, Michigan. If you guys come out, support it, pretty good show. And then also, June 1st at Taylor Trade Center. We will all be there again. So come out and enjoy. You can like Clash on Facebook, or you can go to the website and everything will be up there as far as the tickets and how you become to enjoy an awesome show and watch the Midnight Society kick ass again.
Damn right. Joe I've talked about it. Joe I. Garvin have been to many Clash shows. It really is quality wrestling.
Yeah.
If you're in the Michigan area, check them out, like them on Facebook. Tony's exactly right, and we'll be there pulling for the Midnight Express.
Yeah, and we're going to have all these links in our show notes, so everything's going to be there on FTWpodcast.com as soon as the show's available, so you know how to get tickets and get those dates on your calendars and all that stuff. But, Tony, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, either for wrestling questions or just to follow you or anything like that, how can they do that?
Well, you can go ahead and send me a request at Tony Hoffa. Look up Tony Hoffa on Facebook and send me a request. We are currently working on getting the Midnight Society Facebook up and running. We've got to get some little more things we want to do. We're perfectionists, so we try to make it perfect before we really get it out there. You can also add, Evan Craig or Maserati Rick. Check those guys out. But that's about it, really, for now. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys also have a YouTube channel, so we did post two of the videos already on our Facebook, on the Facebook group and on our Twitter, so we'll also put those in the show notes as well, just so you can check it out. I mean, you guys got to check out their debut match. It was pretty fantastic. Anyone else have any final thoughts?
Make sure you watch that first Clash debut, because Tony hits a spine buster that buries the dude. Very impressive.
It was awesome.
Thank you, man. Hey, I like Arn Anderson too, so maybe that's a reason I could go excellent spine busters.
Yep. Very reminiscent. All right, cool. Well, that's the show. You can go check out ftwpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. We'd love the chance to read and respond to your feedback. That's why we bring your questions onto the show. And for even more WWE and TNA discussions with the rest of the FTW community, you can check out fanstalkwrestling.com. It is wrestling opinions and recaps written by fans for fans, so definitely check that out and get involved. And the FTW podcast records every episode of FTW on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWLive.com. For Joe, Nick, Tony, thank you so much for joining. Joe, Kevin, myself, everyone in the live chat. We'll see you next Tuesday. Laters.
Later.
Watch Total D.